Welcome to the Ink and Pen Adventure Podcast with your host, Lori Ann.
I'm ready for an adventure. It's time to dive into mystery. Time to learn all that I can be. And I hear it calling me. I feel my soul is breaking free. I'm laid up with possibility.
Are you ready for your next adventure?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Ink and Pen Adventures podcast. This is Lori Ann, and I am your host. Today, let's talk Disney. I know some of you will skip this, and that is totally fine. And maybe some point we'll talk Universal as well, but we have to go. I haven't been in years. So let's talk Disney. All right. I'm a Disney fan. It's true. It's very, very true. I have been since I was a kid, and I used to wait, I couldn't stand it, waiting for Sunday night's Wonderful World of Disney to come on. I saw some of those great movies and specials and would see glimpses of the park and all that exciting stuff. That was when I was a kid. As an adult, I came back to Disney in my college years for a couple of times. I actually lived in the Long Beach area, and I think I went once, which is weird, but I was a college student. I didn't exactly have the money, although it was much less than it is now. And then I went again, I think, later on, and then went again for the first time in a very long time, and I want to say 2002, when I got married, went for our honeymoon. And that sort of started the new revised Lori as a Disney fan moment in her life. And we didn't really go back again until later for 2000. I actually cannot remember when it was. But we went back at one point in January to discover there was this really cool thing. That first week of January was really quiet. And those weeks have come since long gone, but it was really quiet, meaning that the park was at lower capacity. There was much less crowding, shorter lines, shorter waits for food. It was lovely. And so we decided at that point, annual passes were affordable. And we grabbed an annual pass and discovered this idea of being able to go to Disney as an adult, share it with our kids when we wanted to, but also just be there as an adult and enjoy the magic and enjoy the fun and enjoy the amazing cast members, shows, entertainment that was to be had. So that sort of started it again. And then, it's gotten much more active since in 2015, we decided to join the Disney Vacation Club. And that was sort of changed all of the ways we do Disney now, because since we have the DVC membership and the DVC Vacation Club points, while yes, we pay dues on them every month, we don't pay every time we go to a Disney hotel. And that's the best part. So we feel really lucky. Please understand, I feel really lucky in this, and that we get to stay at the Disneyland hotels on points. And so Disney can be expensive. As a travel advisor as well, on top of everything else, I have seen what prices can be for a Disney family vacation for 4 people to Disney World can be in this 5 figures at times, depending on where you want to stay and what you want to do and how many days you're staying. And that can get out of reach for a lot of people. And a DVC, while the initial expense is higher, it is it's essentially a mortgage. You pay it off in 10 years and then you pay your dues every month. And it tends to be much cheaper. We have in the 8 years, going on 9 years this year, since we purchased our DVC, we have 150% of our purchase price. So at 100%, we reached that a couple of years ago, even with the pandemic. We are at about 150% of value of what we paid for the membership. And so to us, it is absolutely worth it. But it means cool things like we got to stay at the Disneyland the Disneyland Hotel, the new villas, the Discovery Tower on opening night of the Discovery Tower. We didn't even know that that was going to be possible, and we were able to make it happen. I've never in my life been in a hotel that had never been open before. No one had slept in that bed. No one had used that shower or that bathroom or that sink or kitchen or anything. It was really quite stunning. We really enjoyed the experience. We have since stayed there a couple of times, and we love the hotel. We are bigger fans of the Grand Californian. I think it's a little nostalgic for us at this point, as we've stayed there a lot. My granddaughter calls it her Mimi and Papa's Botel because that's where she's been able to stay anytime she's gone to Disney. And we won't talk about how many times she's gone to Disney at 7 years old. But it is such a cool thing to be able to stay right there. You don't have to deal with parking. You don't have to deal with transportation. You certainly don't have to deal with the tram or the buses. And if you can do it, I encourage it. I don't get anything for it. Please understand that this is really just me saying it has changed the way we Disney. It is a privilege to be able to do this 100%. And I'm super excited that we can. For example, we are going back in March at this point and staying at the Grand Californian, which the last couple times we've stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. And if you don't know about the Grand Californian, there's an entrance right to California Adventure that you can go through from the hotel to the park. And that is pretty special, especially late at night at the end of a long day. If you're going back before Cali closes, you can scoot right out through that park entrance that takes you right to the hotel. So a couple of things that we've done at Disneyland that have been really cool over the years that sort of help us get our excitement back up again is we've gone to the parties a couple of times. So we've been to the Oogie Boogie party, and there was a Christmas party once, I think, that they did at Disneyland. I could be mistaking that for something, but I thought they did it, and it was years ago now. And then they gave that up and stuck with the Halloween party and then started to do their after dark nights. So the Oogie Boogie Halloween party, while as a theater person, dressing up is not my favorite thing because even though I don't do it personally anymore, I did it for years, and I don't really feel like I don't take the time to put it into a costume that I really want to share with the world. But I did dress for this past Oogie Boogie because my granddaughter wanted to go she was Elsa, I believe, and her mom was Anna, and her grandfather, my husband, was Olaf, the best costume ever. And so I decided to be Sven. And it was fairly simple. Made myself some ears, did a t-shirt. It was great. It was really fun. We went to the Villains Grove. So if you go to Oogie Boogie at Disneyland, please make sure you go to the Villains Grove. It is totally worth it. And then we went in January, and that was really nice. We have worked, we've gotten into a rhythm when traveling with my stepdaughter and my granddaughter, and it's all going really well. It's really fun. I had a really fun interaction with Kylo Ren where he, of course, questioned me, and I didn't back down, and it was really cool, and my stepdaughter actually caught it on video, and I laugh about it still to this day, and that was in early January, that I still giggle about that whole thing. And then, like I said, we're going again in March. There's not, I don't think, any special anything happening in March and no festivals of any sort that I can think of. That might be Food and Wine. I suppose that's possible, but maybe I don't remember when that is. I think it's Food and Wine. So that might be happening. Normally, I say normally, we've done it like 3-4 times. We would go to Sweethearts Night, which we would have been at right now, actually. Today, I'm recording this on February 8th, even though it won't go up for a couple of weeks. We would be there right now, but we decided not to go this year, and so, of course, they changed it. Because of course they did, and it's also Lunar New Year. They do a Lunar New Year celebration in California Adventure, and in the Grand Californian this year, apparently for the first time ever, they have hung up a dragon, a Lunar New Year dragon, as it is the year of the dragon, and I can't believe we're not going to see it, but it's all good. We decided not to do that. And we are looking at renewing our passes right now, I think, for one more year so that we can get a few more trips in. And then we're going to focus a little more on Disney World. And speaking of Disney World, what can I say about Disney World? So Disneyland is my home park. I'm from California. I lived down there for a while. I've been a number of times. I'm very familiar with it. I don't even need a map anymore. I know where I'm going. And I know how to map out my day to make it really work well for my stamina and feet and knees and legs and for getting the most out of the event. We are not ride fanatics anymore. And it's not that we don't want to ride rides. It's that we don't have to ride them unless they're new. Like we love to ride the new Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That one's a hard one to say because it is new and we've only ridden it a couple of times so far. I probably can't count on two hands. It would probably take many more than that to count how many times I've ridden Big Thunder, for example, or Space Mountain, or at this point, even Rise of the Resistance, which is fantastic. So we go for the other things. We go for the food. We go for the entertainment. We go for people watching and just to sort of soak up the magic. Take pictures. My husband is an avid photographer. I am too. I'm not as much as him, and I tend to use my phone over a DSLR camera, but it's fun, and I enjoy it very much. So that's Disneyland, but we know it really well, and we go, and we spend 2 days, and we're good to go. We went to Disney World in November. We hadn't been back since 2018, and those were all great trips, and this was a really great trip. This one was in November. The first time we went, it was in February. And then the second time we went, my stepdaughter got married out there. And so we were able to put up some of the folks in a DVC room at the Grand Floridian before the wedding. And that was really amazing through the rehearsal dinner and everything like that there. And then we went back in 2018. We went back twice that year because we were going in January with some friends. And then we went back again in April as we wrapped up a trip to Hilton Head, which is also a DVC property. And if you want to hear more about that, I can do a mini-sode on that as well. So in November we go. And the first year that we went, when the wedding happened, it was about 90 degrees and about 90% humidity in November. It was awful. It was truly awful. And it just got really uncomfortable and it makes you tired. It makes you cranky. So we swore we wouldn't do that again. But then I had the opportunity to go to a conference in Orlando that was at the Renaissance by SeaWorld. And I thought, well, we'll just stay at Disney World because we have the ability to do so without having to pay extra money. And sometimes those conferences with the ticket and the flight and everything can get expensive. And so saving a little money here and there, to me, is the way to do it. I just did that in Palm Springs. We have another timeshare with Wyndham, and I was able to go to a conference and put up a friend of mine for basically $50. You can't really do that at the Margaritaville Hotel. So that's a really nice benefit to a timeshare. There are downsides to timeshares, and I won't even start to get into those because that's a whole episode unto itself. So November, we were there. It was 85 degrees, and the humidity wasn't terrible when you were in the shade. It was actually really quite tolerable. The Saturday that we were there, my husband was at Disney Magic Kingdom because I was at the conference, and he ended up having to come back in the middle of the day because it was just too hot. But the super cool thing about that particular weekend in November, they were recording the Christmas parade and the Christmas and the Thanksgiving special those 2 days, well into the night. And he got to see, oh gosh darn it, the lovely woman from This Is Us that sang there. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. She's fantastic. He got to actually see her perform. He got to see Chris Jansen perform. Now, he wasn't part of the crowd that you see, if you watched those that you saw. He was outside of it, but you could totally see it. They didn't block stuff off. They didn't stop people from doing things. And he could hear the announcer over the top, so he paid attention to that. He thought that was really cool. Then we come back that night and watch the fireworks to discover that they actually ran the fireworks a couple times on Saturday night so they could video the performances for the Thanksgiving special. Most of those happen in the evening. And then when I went back the next day, it was lovely. Oh, it had rained on Saturday. So even though it was really hot, it had rained. And so they didn't get to capture as much of the daytime stuff as they wanted. So they did it again on Sunday. So we are walking in as the parade's coming through, and we were seconds off of being caught on camera based on where we were located. We watched it, and we were just we saw the part that they were filming on the parade, if it really truly connected with the part of the people on the side of the road, side of the street. We were just ahead of that a little bit, which was pretty neat to think about. And then as we're coming back around, they're doing another parade, and we found a spot outside the circle and got to watch the whole parade as they're recording it for the Christmas Day parade special. And we saw Julianne and Derek Huff. We couldn't hear them, but we could see them. And then some dancers on stage. We saw Santa and Mrs. Claus have a really lovely moment together at the end of the parade. So that was really, really cool. And then we go back, eventually after the end of the day, we go back to the hotel. We knew they were going to be recording well into the night, right? Well into the night. Because they wanted to do, I believe the Thanksgiving special happens in the evening and the parade happens during the day. So we go back to our hotel. We can see from our room. We got really lucky on our location, and we're facing the lagoon, the Seven Seas Lagoon, and we can see Magic Kingdom across the water and the fireworks going off. And we could hear some of the music, and we kept hearing Holiday Road, which is from European Christmas Vacation? Yes, Christmas Vacation. And it's not actually a Christmas song, apparently, but it sounds like one. I always thought it was. And we heard it like 5 times. And the fireworks every time. And so we saw five or six fireworks shows. We heard Holiday Road. We heard a couple of other songs. So when we watched the Thanksgiving special, I think it was the Thanksgiving special, they closed with Chris Jansen singing Holiday Road. And we laughed because we thought, oh, that took 5 takes. It did. And that is often the case. If you've done anything in film or television, you know that a take on something like that is usually recorded 5 or 6 times and then pieced together for all the best parts and the different angles, you know, looking out at the crowd, looking at the performer, looking from the left, looking from the right. But it was just really cool to hear that and see that. Sorry, I'm playing with a pen. I should stop doing that. To be able to connect that we were there. That was so cool. So anyway, if you get a chance, it was on Veterans Day weekend. So now November 11th and 12th this year. I think it's probably the same next year. It won't be too much later because they have a lot of work to do to cut it up. Prior to about 4 years ago, we didn't think about the fact that it wasn't really live on Thanksgiving or Christmas, right? We didn't think about that. So the fact that we have discovered now, and since then, we're like, when do they do it? And then we finally found out, and it happened to be the weekend we were there, which we couldn't believe, was really pretty cool. So if you get the chance, let's, go for it. It's fun. The other thing we love, and we are big fans of Epcot when we're there. We love the World Showcase, the new rides, although I will say we are quite shocked that we didn't ride Cosmic Rewind, the new Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster at Epcot. I kept thinking they were replacing Rock and Roller Coaster with Guardians of the Galaxy, and when that didn't happen, I think I just forgot about it. And so we didn't even try until it was too late. But the Food and Wine goes on during in November, and it's really fun. It can be very expensive, but if you get the pass and you use it all, it actually can be very affordable. In that sense, it can also limit, keep yourself from overeating or over drinking. And I will say, and the one thing I don't like about Food and Wine is being there too late at night because of the last thing that I just said. Some people get a little friendly with their alcoholic drinks, and it can get a little rowdy. It can get a little crazy. But other than that, and actually this year we didn't have that problem. That was when we went in 2015 that we had not run-ins, but we had lots of experiences with some very, very drunk people, and it became really not awesome. One of the other things that happened because of Food and Wine this year was we were cruising by. We discovered that Big Bad Voodoo Daddy had been there the night before that we got there. And we didn't realize it. Big fans of that. And then the night that we were in Epcot in the evening, it just happened to be 38 Special playing, which is a band from my youth that I actually really loved. And I forgot their songs, and we wandered by, and I was like, it's 38 Special. Oh my goodness. here we are, and we listened while we were eating. So Food and Wine can be really fun. They have musical guests. They have special presentations. There's food from all over, not just the World Showcase places, but there's food from other countries as well. And lots of cultural opportunities to learn about those cultures. It's really neat. So Disney World, Food and Wine, highly recommend it. They also do a Christmas party at Magic Kingdom, which we have done in the past. It's weird though, we were there in November and we did it in November and it was too early for us. We weren't even into the Christmas mindset at that point. It was too warm for a Christmas party. You couldn't wear a hat or any, warm, cozy clothing because it was 90 degrees out. So if you're going to do the Christmas party, we would probably do it closer to December. It may be, still before Thanksgiving, but at least a little further into the month. But it didn't work out that way for us this month. The coolest thing, I gotta say. So if you've been to Disneyland, you know that you have to take your stuff out of your pockets. You have to take your bags out and your phones off and walk through security, right? Have your bags checked and then walk through security archway. Not so at Disney World. They have new screeners that are set up in a fashion that unless you have a really big bag or something that might be misunderstood, you simply, if you have a camera, you simply hold it up out from your body and you walk through your bag on your backpack on your back. And you can just walk through the scanner. You don't have to take your bag off. It doesn't have to be searched. There will be some folks that will still have to have their bags searched or go through a different scanner, but it's really cool. And we asked the security person that was standing there when it was coming to Disneyland, and he laughed and shook his head and said, never. So Disney, if you're listening, please bring it to Disneyland. It would cut down some of that stress a little bit for all of us. But I realize that may not be possible. We can hope though, right? So security. What else can I tell you about Disney? New things coming. They're talking about an expansion to Disneyland in the billions of dollars range. That would be, I think, and I'm trying to picture this in my head, on the other side of the hotels, either Pixar Place just opened, or the Disneyland Hotel, adding in another land that might include things like Pandora or Moana, or I can't think of the other ones. Those may not even be right. I'm pretty sure that Encanto was also talked about. So there's a couple of ideas there happening, and that's pretty cool. I haven't been following the Disney news as much lately just because not a lot has been happening as they've been sort of refiguring things out with Iger back at the helm and the directions that they're going and the things that were going on in Florida. So that's all I can think of there. Yeah, that's about it for me for Disney. If you have any questions, want to know about it, we've been to 4 of the Disney offerings. We've been to Aulani in Hawaii, Disneyland, Disney World, and Disneyland Paris. We have also taken a Disney cruise. So I got your Disney answers if you have questions about it. And I'm happy to talk about it. I also won't pressure you to do anything. If you're not a Disney fan, I guess you're probably not even listening at this point. But if you are not a Disney fan and you are still listening, thank you so much. I appreciate you listening to my ramblings. And I can't think of anything else to say except that my favorite character is Minnie. My favorite ride might be Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway with a Thunder Mountain at Disneyland, a close second, and the Mine Train at Disney World, the next one out. And I can tell you, I do not like either Indiana Jones or Space Mountain at Paris. Maybe I'll get into that on another episode. But thank you all for joining us, and I hope that you have a magical day. Bon voyage.